Have you ever been sitting next to someone you love, yet felt a million miles away? That quiet, unnerving feeling that something is fundamentally broken, even if you can't quite put your finger on it. It's not about the loud arguments or the dramatic fights. It's the silence that's deafening. The subtle shifts in energy that tell you the foundation is cracking. Many of us ignore these signs, hoping they'll just go away. But the truth is, relationships rarely end in a single explosion. They die a slow death, by 1,000 tiny cuts. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the subtle, often missed red flags that signal a relationship is heading for a dead end. And the last sign is the most deceptive of all, because it often disguises itself as peace. Before we begin, please remember this video is for educational and entertainment purposes. It's a look into relationship dynamics, not a substitute for professional advice. Number 10. The future becomes a forbidden topic. Think about the early days of your relationship. You probably talked about the future endlessly. Fantasizing about trips you'd take, where you might live, what your life together would look like. It was exciting. Now, try to bring up a vacation for next summer. Mention moving in together. What happens? Do you get a vague, yeah, maybe, or a quick change of subject? This isn't just about 5-year plans, it can be as simple as trying to book concert tickets for 3 months from now. If there's hesitation, it's a huge sign. When a partner consistently avoids or shuts down conversations about the future, it's often because they subconsciously, or even consciously, don't see you in it. The psychology here is about mental commitment. We invest our mental energy into things we are committed to. A lack of future planning signals a lack of investment in what psychologists call a mental opt-out. It's like they're a passenger in the car of the relationship, but they have no interest in where the car is going, because they're secretly planning on getting out at the next stop. Imagine you say, "I saw a great deal on flights to Italy for our anniversary next year," and your partner replies with a tense, "Let's not get ahead of ourselves, a lot can happen in a year." That's not just being practical, it's actively building a wall around the future, keeping you and your shared life on the other side. Number 9. You feel lonely, especially when you're together. This is one of the most painful and confusing signs. How can you feel utterly alone when the person you're supposed to be closest to is right there beside you? This is emotional loneliness, and it's a sign of a deep disconnection. It happens when you can no longer share your inner world with your partner, your fears, your triumphs, your silly thoughts. You feel like you have to filter yourself, or that they just wouldn't understand or care. The psychological reason for this is the erosion of emotional intimacy, often caused by unanswered bids for connection. A bid is any attempt to get your partner's attention, affection, or support. It could be you saying, "Wow, look at that sunset," or sending them a funny video. When these bids are consistently ignored or met with irritation, you learn to stop making them. You stop reaching out. A healthy relationship is a safe harbor where you can be your most authentic self. When that safety disappears, you start to feel like you're performing. Your roommates sharing a space, not partners sharing a life. Think of a time you were sitting on the couch together, both scrolling on your phones, in total silence. It's not a comfortable, companionable silence. It's an empty silence, full of everything that isn't being said. That feeling is your intuition screaming that the connection is lost. Number 8. The disappearance of small touches. I'm not just talking about what happens in the bedroom. I'm talking about the casual, unconscious physical contact that binds a couple together. The hand on the small of your back as you pass in the kitchen. The spontaneous hug from behind. Holding hands while walking down the street. Resting a hand on their knee while watching a movie. These small acts of physical affection are like the glue of a relationship. They release oxytocin, the bonding hormone, and constantly reaffirm your connection and sense of security with each other. When these touches stop, it's a huge red flag. It means you've stopped seeking comfort and reassurance from each other. The physical distance is simply a manifestation of the emotional distance that has already grown between you. Touch is our most primal form of communication. Its absence speaks volumes. It's when you're walking together and you notice there's a permanent, 6-inch gap between your bodies. Or when you realize they haven't voluntarily touched you in a non-functional way, like passing you the salt, in weeks. Sometimes, it gets to a point where an accidental touch feels awkward or even startling. The warmth is gone, and what's left is cold, empty space. Number 7, you start keeping a scorecard. I took out the trash 3 times this week, you only did it once. Remember when I supported you through that tough time at work? You owe me. Does this sound familiar? When a relationship turns transactional, it's in deep trouble. Love and partnership are meant to be based on generosity and the understanding that you're a team. Sometimes one person will give 80% and the other 20%, and other times it will be the reverse. Keeping score is a sign that trust and goodwill have eroded. The psychology behind it is a shift from a we mentality to a me versus you mentality. It moves from what social psychologists call communal sharing to exchange-based accounting. You no longer see your partner's wins as your wins. Instead, you're focused on fairness and making sure you're not being taken advantage of. It's a defensive posture. This isn't just about chores, it extends to emotional labor too. Imagine you do something nice for your partner, and their first thought isn't thank you, but what will they want from me in return? That's when you know the partnership is being run like a business, and it's heading for bankruptcy. Number 6, you fantasize about a life without them. Now, let's be clear. Everyone has a fleeting thought now and then about what life would be like if they were single or had made different choices. That's normal. What's not normal is when this becomes a detailed, recurring, and comforting fantasy. It's when you find yourself mentally rehearsing the breakup conversation. You imagine your own apartment, decorated just the way you like it, feeling a sense of profound relief. You daydream about the freedom of not having to check in with anyone or compromise on your weekend plans. This is a form of emotional escape. Psychologically, your mind is creating a safe space where you can be free from the stress and unhappiness of your current reality. It's a coping mechanism. The danger lies in how much peace these fantasies bring you. If you find more joy and peace in the idea of being without your partner than in the reality of being with them, your heart has already started to leave the relationship. This mental affair with a hypothetical future saps the energy and motivation you would need to address the problems in your actual partnership. The rest of you is just waiting to catch up. Number 5, your friends and family are worried. Sometimes, the people on the outside have a clearer view than we do on the inside. We can be blinded by history, by hope, or by a fear of being alone. This is like the frog in boiling water analogy. We adjust to a slowly worsening situation, so we don't notice how bad it's become. But your friends and family, who see you less frequently, notice the stark contrast. They see that the light has gone out of your eyes. They hear the subtle digs in the way your partner speaks to you. They notice you've stopped talking about your relationship altogether. They might not say it directly. It might come out in cautious questions like, "Hey, is everything okay with you too?" Or "You seem a little down lately, what's up?" Pay attention to these moments. It's not that they're being nosy. It's that they see you shrinking. Psychologically, we often project a brave face, but our true emotional state leaks out in our demeanor and energy. When the people who know you best start to reflect a concern back at you, it's time to take an honest look at why. If you find yourself getting defensive or hiding details of your relationship from them, that's an even bigger red flag. Number 4, criticism has replaced curiosity. In a healthy relationship, when a problem arises, the default response is curiosity. You seem upset, what's on your mind, or help me understand why you feel that way. The goal is to understand your partner's perspective. In a dying relationship, curiosity is replaced by criticism. You're always so sensitive. Why do you have to make everything a big deal? That's a stupid thing to be upset about. This is one of what renowned relationship expert Dr. John Gottman calls the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Criticism is an attack on your partner's character, rather than a complaint about a specific behavior. It's saying you are the problem. When this becomes the primary mode of communication, it creates a toxic state of negative sentiment override, where even neutral actions are interpreted negatively. For example, your partner buys you a gift, and your first thought is, what did they do wrong now? It's impossible to solve problems when one or both people are constantly in defense mode, and it grinds away at love and respect until nothing is left. Number 3, the stonewalling. This is another one of Gottman's four horsemen, and it's perhaps the most frustrating. Stonewalling is when one partner completely shuts down during a conflict. They withdraw, give the silent treatment, or physically leave the room. They refuse to engage. It's like talking to a brick wall. To the person being stonewalled, it feels like an act of profound disrespect and abandonment. It sends the message, you are not worth talking to. Your feelings don't matter. The psychology of the stonewaller is often that they are feeling physiologically flooded. Their heart rate elevates, stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline are released, and their brain's capacity for rational thought literally shuts down. It's a primal flight or fight response, and shutting down is a form of self-preservation. But the effect on the relationship is devastating. It makes problem-solving impossible. You can't resolve a conflict if one person refuses to even acknowledge it exists. It creates a toxic pursuer-distancer cycle where one partner gets more and more desperate to talk, and the other retreats further and further away, until the chasm between them is too wide to cross. Number 2, the poison of contempt. This is it. The single greatest predictor of a relationship ending. Contempt is not just criticism or anger. It is a feeling of moral superiority. It's looking at your partner with disgust. It manifests as sarcasm, cynicism, name-calling, eye-rolling, sneering, and hostile humor. It's any statement or nonverbal behavior that puts you on a higher plane and them on a lower one. Contempt is the only one of the four horsemen that contains disgust. Imagine you forget to pick up milk from the store. An angry response might be, I'm so frustrated you forgot the milk. A contemptuous response would be a sneer and, what is wrong with you? Can you ever do anything right? It's not that hard. See the difference? One is about an action, the other is an attack on your partner's very being and intelligence. Psychologically, contempt is poison because it corrodes all admiration and respect. And without respect, love cannot survive. It communicates a fundamental rejection of who they are as a person. It's the emotional equivalent of spitting in someone's face, and it's almost impossible to come back from. And now, for the most subtle and often misunderstood sign a relationship is doomed. Number 1, the fighting stops. This sounds counterintuitive, right? Most people think a lot of fighting is the worst sign. But often, the real death knell is when the fighting completely stops. I'm not talking about couples who have learned healthy conflict resolution. I'm talking about couples who used to argue, who used to have passionate disagreements about core issues, and now, there's just silence. Apathy. Why is this so dangerous? Because fighting, even when it's messy, means you both still care. It means you have enough energy and investment in the relationship to fight for it. You're trying to be heard. You're trying to fix things, even if you're going about it the wrong way. When the fighting stops, it often means one or both partners have given up. They've reached a state of emotional detachment where it's no longer worth the energy to argue. They've hit a conflict plateau, having realized that fighting about the issue leads nowhere. This silence isn't peace, it's the sound of surrender. It is learned helplessness within the relationship. The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. And when indifference settles into a relationship, it's almost impossible to revive. Recognizing these signs can be painful, but awareness is the first step. It's a chance to either address the deep-seated issues with your partner, or to find the clarity and courage to move on. Ignoring them only prolongs the inevitable and wastes precious time you could be spending in a healthier, more fulfilling connection. Now I want to turn it over to you. We've talked about the red flags, but let's flip the script. What's one green flag or positive sign that you believe is absolutely essential for a healthy, thriving relationship? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's create a list of what to look for.